7:30 in the evening across India. We are live from New Delhi, and joining me shortly from Washington DC will be my colleague Caroline Malone. I am Tanvi Taneja. Let's present to you DD India Global now. Up first, the headlines. India observes National Unity Day, marking the birth anniversary of its first Home Minister, Sardar Patel. Run for Unity and Meri Mati Mera Desh campaign to honour nation's brave hearts held across the country. Israel engages with Hamas militants inside Gaza's tunnels. Prime Minister Netanyahu rejects appeals for a ceasefire. Over 3,000 children killed and over 900 missing in Gaza in 3 weeks, says UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees.
An entire population is being dehumanized. The atrocities of Hamas do not absolve the state of Israel from its obligation under international humanity.
And Argentina captain Lionel Messi wins a record-extending 8th Ballon d'Or for the best player in the world. Up first, news from India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in the program marking the culmination of Meri Mati Mera Desh campaign's Amrit Kalash Yatra in the capital, New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi also visited a digital exhibition during the concluding ceremony of this event. He also offered soil into the Amrit Kalash, which contains soil brought from different parts of the country. He then applied that soil on his forehead as a mark of respect. During the program, Prime Minister Modi launched the Mera Yuva Bharat platform for the youth of the country. The Indian Prime Minister also virtually launched a memorial garden called the Amrit Vatika and Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav Memorial, which will be built next to the National War Memorial. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said that Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav made new history with the scale of people's participation.
जैसी दांडी यात्रा शुरू होने के बाद देशवासी उससे जुड़ते गए, वैसे ही आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव ने जन भागीदारी का ऐसा हुजूम देखा कि नया इतिहास बन गया। दांडी यात्रा ने स्वतंत्र भारत की लौ को और तेजस्वी किया था। 75 साल की ये यात्रा समृद्ध भारत के सपने को साकार करने वाला कालखंड बन रहा है। 2 वर्ष से अधिक चले इस महोत्सव का मेरी माटी मेरा देश अभियान के साथ समापन हो रहा है।
We'll also tell you on how the Run for Unity campaign was also organized in India later in the show. But now we present to you updates from the Israel-Hamas war. Israel has said that its forces attacked Hamas gunmen inside the Islamists' vast tunnel network beneath Gaza after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier today dismissed calls for a halt to fighting to ease humanitarian crisis. My colleague Caroline Malone is in Washington, D.C. She gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. Caroline, it's over to you now.
Well, thank you, Tanvi. The Israel Defense Forces struck approximately 300 Hamas targets, including anti-tank missile and rocket launch posts, as well as military compounds inside underground tunnels in Gaza. Hamas militants responded with anti-tank missiles and machine gun fire. Meanwhile, Israel continues its crackdown on the leaders of Hamas, destroying the family home of an exiled commander in the occupied West Bank. Since the Hamas attack on October 7th, Israel has made hundreds of arrests and conducted raids, resulting in clashes in the West Bank and the death of at least 121 Palestinians. The Israel Defense Forces say that in the last few hours, troops have also engaged in fierce battles against Hamas terrorists deep in the Gaza Strip. The military says ground and air forces hit several Hamas positions and anti-tank guided missile squads and killed dozens of Hamas fighters. DD India's Amrit Pal Singh sent us this report from Jerusalem.
As Israel's military campaign inside Gaza intensifies, the Israeli Defense Forces say their troops are engaged in ferocious battles in close combat with the Hamas terrorists. Hamas, meanwhile, says that it has caused a significant loss to Israeli side, resulting in many casualties. Israel hasn't released the number of its own soldiers, the casualty numbers of its own soldiers, but it says it's killed dozens of Hamas guerrillas and seized a cache of weapons and caused considerable damage to their anti-tank missile launch posts and other operational bases. Even as all this is on, the civilian count of casualties keeps going up. It is now reaching close to about 8,500 dead and more than 22,000 injured. While the conflict poses a real threat of widening as Iran's Quds Corps chief is said to be in Lebanon and in close coordination with Hezbollah's chief Hassan Nasrallah. Hezbollah in the recent days has stepped up missile attacks and rocket attacks inside the Israeli territory on the border with Lebanon. Meanwhile, the southern Israeli city of Alat was struck today by a missile, though it was intercepted by the Arrow defense systems. This missile is said to have been launched from the Red Sea area, possibly by the Houthis of Yemen. If this conflict widens, it means really bad news for the whole region and has the potential to destabilize West Asia. With cameraman SP Dubey, this is Amrit Pal Singh for DD India in Jerusalem.
Well, Israeli military spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus has refuted a report from the UN's Relief Agency for Palestinians that said humanitarian operations had to halt due to a fuel crisis in Gaza.
Same claims about lack of equipment and that Gaza may be forced to halt tonight if no fuel is delivered. I don't think that is accurate, and neither does the entire IDF. We responded to UNRWA's claim by referring them to where Hamas, which governs the Gaza Strip, stores fuel, both diesel fuel and other types of and benzene and other types of fuel. It's all inside the Gaza Strip, and there's enough for many days for hospitals and water pumps to run. Only the priorities are different.
Well, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected calls for a ceasefire in Gaza, saying it would amount to a surrender to Hamas, a surrender to terrorists. Speaking in Tel Aviv, Netanyahu said the ongoing ground invasion in Gaza has created the possibility for the release of more than 200 hostages held by Hamas.
Our common assessment of all of the not only the cabinet members, but also all the security forces and the military, is that the ground action actually creates the possibility, not the certainty, but the possibility of getting our hostages out, because Hamas will not do it unless they're under pressure. Calls for a ceasefire are calls for Israel to surrender to Hamas, to surrender to terrorism, to surrender to barbarism. That will not happen.
With the Israel-Gaza conflict now in its third week, deeply disturbing statistics are emerging. A UN official has revealed that of the more than 8,000 people who've been killed in Gaza, more than 3,000 of them are children, the highest death toll of children in conflict since 2019. UNICEF has also reported that approximately 940 children are missing in Gaza.
Nearly 70% of those reported killed are children and women. Save the Children reported yesterday that nearly 3,200 children were killed in Gaza in just 3 weeks. This surpasses the number of children killed annually across the world's conflict zones since 2019. This cannot be collateral damage.
Well, the Palestinian Red Crescent Society says its warehouse in Gaza City has been severely damaged in Israeli airstrikes. And Palestinian health officials have reported airstrikes hit areas near 3 large hospitals in Gaza City on Monday. Israel has accused Hamas of placing command centers and weaponry near hospitals, which the terror group has denied. The United Nations has urged for the opening of the Kerem Shalom crossing with Israel to provide aid to the Gaza Strip from the north. The UN says to deliver enough aid, multiple border crossings are necessary, including from Kerem Shalom. Some aid has been trickling into Gaza from Egypt via the Rafah crossing in the south. While Israel's UN ambassador Gilad Erdan has been wearing a yellow star as a symbol of condemnation against Hamas, criticizing the UN Security Council for its silence on the recent attacks on Israel.
Some of you have forgotten why this body was established. So I will remind you, from this day on, each time you look at me, you will remember what staying silent in the face of evil means. Just like my grandparents and the grandparents of millions of Jews, from now on, my team and I will wear yellow stars. We will wear this star until you condemn the atrocities of Hamas and demand the immediate release of our hostages.
Well, we can go live now to Tel Aviv in Israel, where Sarah Coates is standing by for us. Sarah, what is the latest with the ongoing fighting and the humanitarian situation in Gaza and in other areas?
Hello there, Caroline. Well, look, fierce fighting is continuing deep inside Gaza, with the Israeli military saying its troops on the ground and in the sky are attacking Hamas positions and also anti-tank launching areas, killing a number of fighters, and also a senior Hamas commander who is believed to be one of the key people responsible for this horrendous attack on the 7th of this month. Now, Hamas says it is pushing back against these Israeli incursions with machine gun and anti-tank fire at Israeli troops. Now, you mentioned the humanitarian situation there. It is certainly grim and growing worse by the hour. The World Health Organization has just come out to say that Gaza is on the brink of a public health catastrophe, saying it is due to overcrowding and severe damage to water and sanitation infrastructure. Now, this comes as other aid groups are warning that only 5% of the water that normally flows into Gaza is actually running. But look, there could be a little bit of relief on the way. We are hearing that 80 trucks will today cross through the Rafah crossing from the Egyptian side, coming into the Gaza Strip. And this would certainly be many more trucks than have been seen any other day, although aid groups like the United Nations say that to sustain the people there, the displaced people there in the Gaza Strip, they need at least 100 trucks per day. And Caroline, just to put this into perspective for you, on a regular day before any of this started, the Rafah crossing sees 500 aid trucks come through it into the Palestinian enclave. So there's certainly a lot of need for these people. You need to remember just how many people are sheltering down in the south.
For us from Tel Aviv in Israel. Well, moving on to the United States, and the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and the Secretary of State Antony Blinken have started presenting their arguments to lawmakers to get approval for President Joe Biden's $106 billion military aid request. That's for both Israel and Ukraine. However, some Republicans are expressing concern about the size of the funding requested. Kate Fisher has more.
US President Joe Biden pressed Congress for the combined aid in a prime-time address last week, proposing $61 billion in lethal assistance to Ukraine and around $14 billion for air and missile defences in Israel, which has a better-equipped military. The push underscores the growing Republican resistance to linking assistance for both nations. In the House, the newly elected Republican Speaker, Mike Johnson, said that he plans to move a standalone Israel funding bill to the floor this week, separating it from Ukraine aid. The White House spending plan also designates a lesser sum for Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific region, $7.4 billion, which includes funds for the Navy to produce nuclear-powered submarines under the defence sharing agreement with Australia and Britain, known as AUKUS. The White House has said it has less than $5.5 billion in funds to continue transferring weapons from US stockpiles to Ukrainian forces fighting Russia. Kate Fisher in Washington, reporting for DD India.
Well, that's it from me here in Washington, D.C. Back to you in the studio, Tanvi.
Thank you, Caroline. Caroline Malone joining us from our Washington bureau. You're watching DD India Global, still to come on the show. Afghans reluctantly return to Taliban rule as Pakistan moves to expel 1.7 million. And Britain's King Charles begins his 4-day Kenya visit with colonialism's scars in focus.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Global. I am Tanvi Taneja. Back to Asia. President of India, Draupadi Murmu, led the nation India in celebrating the National Unity Day, also known as Rashtriya Ekta Divas. She paid floral tributes to late Sardar Patel, India's first Home Minister and Deputy Prime Minister in New Delhi. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Home Minister Amit Shah and Union Minister Meenakshi Lekhi also paid their tributes to the late leader. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also paid floral tributes to Sardar Patel at the Statue of Unity in Gujarat. On the birth anniversary of the nation's first Home Minister, the Statue of Unity dedicated to Sardar Patel was inaugurated here by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on October 31st in 2018. Prime Minister Modi also administered the Oath of Unity to the gathering at a function held in Narmada district in the Indian central state of Gujarat. On the birth anniversary of the Iron Man, Prime Minister Narendra Modi witnessed the National Unity Day parade comprising of marching contingents from the Border Security Force and the State Police Force. So on October 31st, India is celebrating National Unity Day on Sardar Patel's birth anniversary. Vallabhbhai Patel is remembered for his contribution to India's freedom struggle and is also remembered for his immense contribution to the unification of India. Let's take a look into the life of India's great freedom fighter.
Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was born as Vallabhbhai Javerbhai Patel in Nadiad in India's state of Gujarat on 31st October 1875. He matriculated in 1897 Owing to the financial hardships faced by his family, Sardar enrolled in college in a later age where he studied law. Later, he started practicing as a lawyer in Godhra. He finally sailed for England in 1910, studying Roman law. Patel secured a prize in his course and was called to the bar at the end of 2 years instead of the usual period of 3 years. On his return to India in 1930, he set up practice in Ahmedabad and made a great success of it. As a young boy, Vallabhbhai had leadership qualities that marked him out for his future role. He drew this courage from his father, who was said to have fought in India's first war of independence in 1857. In his political career, Vallabhbhai Patel accepted Mahatma Gandhi's leadership, tremendously impressed by the fearless leadership that Mahatma gave to the people. His association with Mahatma Gandhi became stronger during the Kheda Satyagraha in 1918, which was launched to secure exemption from payment of the land revenue assessment since the crops had failed. Gandhiji said that if it were not for Vallabhbhai's assistance, this campaign would not have been carried through so successfully. It was the Bardoli Satyagraha that earned him the title of Sardar. During the Indian national movement, Vallabhbhai Patel also became the first national leader to be arrested during Dandi March. In March 1931, he presided over the 46th session of the Indian National Congress, which was called upon to ratify the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, which had just been concluded. During the national independence struggle, Vallabhbhai was among the chief negotiators of the Congress. When India attained independence, he became the Deputy Prime Minister and was responsible for the Home, States and Information and Broadcasting portfolios. It was in this capacity that he was called upon to tackle the most intricate and baffling task of the state's integration into the Union of India. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel breathed his last on 15th December 1950, leaving behind a son, Dayabai Patel, and a daughter, Maniben Patel. India celebrates Ekta Divas, or the National Unity Day, on the birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel every year as a mark of respect for the architect of modern India.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is on an official visit to Portugal from today till the 1st of November. He wrote on social media platform X that his meeting with the President of the Assembly of the Portuguese Republic was concluded today in Lisbon. He also said that they discussed bilateral relations, regional and multilateral issues of mutual interest. Jaishankar will also visit Italy on 2nd and 3rd of November this year. On to Pakistan now. On the last day of the deadline for Afghan migrants to leave the country, about 1.7 million undocumented Afghans are said to head to their country to Taliban's rule. More than 10,000 Afghan migrants reached the border. Many people were seen in lines, hoisting their luggage on top of buses to return to their home nation. Pakistan on October 4th had announced that it would expel undocumented migrants that do not leave the country, after which 60,000 Afghans have already returned to their nation between September 23rd to October 22nd. Haiti has blocked all flights from its capital to South America to end the key route for migrants seeking to reach the United States. As the government made no public announcement about the flights, thousands of travelers were stranded in a parking lot of Haiti's main international airport, surrounded by their luggage. The flights were a source for migrants fleeing poverty and violence and had been increasingly used in their quest to reach the United States. Also now, let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. 2 people were shot and injured at a hospital in the Japanese city of Toda. After the incident, the suspect fled the scene and hid in a post office. Facilities nearby the post office were kept on the lockdown as police urged people to stay away from the scene. South Korean authorities have detained a man for stabbing 2 police officers near the presidential office in Seoul. The 77-year-old was passing by the Defense Ministry when he pulled out a knife and stabbed the officers. Police is yet to investigate the motive of the crime. Accompanied by Queen Camilla, Britain's King Charles has begun his 4-day state visit to Kenya. They received a ceremonial welcome at the State House and later visited the tomb of the unknown warrior to honor Kenya's freedom fighters. And US President Joe Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden hosted Halloween at the White House. The Bidens handed out books and candy to the trick-or-treaters, as this year the focus is on books, with the White House calling it Hallow Read celebration. The White House was adorned with trees, pumpkins and flower bouquets for the event. And on to some sporting news. Argentina captain Lionel Messi won a record-extending 8th Ballon d'Or, pipping Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe, while Spain's World Cup champion Aitana Bonmati bagged the women's accolade. Now, the 36-year-old has 3 more awards than rival Cristiano Ronaldo, who won the last of his 5 trophies in 2017. More in our next report.
Argentina's captain Lionel Messi continues to dominate the soccer world with his awe-inspiring performances. He has claimed his record-extending 8th Ballon d'Or at a glamorous ceremony that took place in Paris. He edged out Norway's Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe, while Spain's World Cup champion Aitana Bonmati bagged the women's accolade. Messi, who plays for Inter Miami, last won the award back in the year 2021. Last year, he played a crucial role in guiding Argentina to their first World Cup title in 36 years. They trounced defending champions France in the final. During the tournament, he netted 7 goals and earned the title of the tournament's standout player. The 36-year-old has 3 more coveted trophies than his rival Cristiano Ronaldo, who won the last of his 5 trophies in 2017. Messi has now finished among the top 3, a record 14 times in total, finishing runners-up on 5 occasions. While Messi's World Cup winning teammate Emiliano Martinez won the Lev Yashin Award for the world's best goalkeeper. The Copa Trophy for the best under-21 player went to Real Madrid and England midfielder Jude Bellingham, while club teammate Vinicius Jr. was awarded the Socrates Award for his humanitarian work off the pitch. The crowning achievement stands as a pinnacle in Messi's illustrious career as he continued to enthrall the fans with his scintillating performance. His return to the French capital marked a mushy moment for Messi. He had departed from Paris Saint-Germain in June and subsequently joined Inter Miami in Major League Soccer. Sports Desk, DD India.
So that's all in this edition of DD India Global. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at DD India Live. We will be back with more news as it breaks air on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from my entire team in New Delhi. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.